to Condo Insider on ThinkTech Hawaii. I'm your host, attorney Na Lan. Joining me today is our guest, Ms. Lorie Sides, one of our state condominium specialists of the real estate branch at the Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs. Today, we're going to talk about the role and duties of the real estate branch's condominium section, as well as how it can help condominium associations and unit owners and board directors, and how to access its available resources. Welcome, Lorie. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Na.
So can you help us, tell us a little bit more about, your affiliated organization? What is the role and duties of the DCCA real estate branch's condominium section?
Sure. So the condominium section handles the registration of condominium projects and also the registration of condo associations, as well as managing agents and condo hotel operators. And we also provide education to the condominium community. As you know, condominium associations are set up by law to operate as self-governing entities with minimal government intervention. So the condo specialists, provide information and referral services to owners, to the board members, managing agents about the Hawaii condominium law and other condominium-related issues. And our efforts, the efforts of the branch are governed by the Condominium Education Trust Fund.
What is the real estate branch's relationship with the real estate commission? Because that's a very common, authority within the condo industry everybody knows about.
Right. So basically, the branch assists the commission with its responsibilities, and we do the day-to-day work of the commission. That's the relationship. So a lot of times they kind of interchange, real estate branch and real estate commission. Yeah.
So if I understand correct, it's like a corporation where the real estate commission is like the board of directors, but you guys are almost like on the executive branch, like all the officers of the day-to-day operation responsibilities then.
Exactly, because the commission meets once a month. And yeah, we're here every day, Monday through Friday, and we're actually, yes, exactly what you said. We're carrying out the day-to-day duties.
I see. So are the real estate commission's role and duties exactly the same as the real estate branch then?
Well, the commission is responsible on the real estate side. They're responsible for the licensure, education, and discipline of the real estate licensees. And they also register and certify the pre-licensing schools and the continuing education providers. Mm-hmm. On the condominium side, again, what I mentioned, the registration of the projects, the associations, and the managing agents and the hotel operators. And then again, they're responsible for administering the Condominium Education Trust Fund. So yeah, it's basically the same.
I see. So getting to your job title, because we all know there are 4 actually condominium specialists for state Hawaii. And can you help us understand better as to, do we contact 4 of you for the same kind of function, or you guys are actually respectively in charge of different areas?
Okay, yeah. So, again, our role is one of education. Our mandate is to provide education to the condominium community. And as you said, there's 4 of us. So Keaton and Dathan, they focus on developers and projects, while Benedine and I focus on condominium governance. So that's how it's split in terms of what we handle.
Great, thank you. So now we know who to email and who to call. I hope that will increase your workload, though.
Okay, well, that's what we're here for.
Thank you. So pertaining to condominium associations, boards, and unit owners, what are the typical matters the real estate branch's condominium section can help with?
Well, again, I mean, we're here to answer questions about the condo law and related issues. So, for
Mhm.
example, sometimes we'll get calls about board meetings. What are the notice requirements? Who can attend the board meeting? Who can participate in the board meeting?
Mhm.
Or maybe we'll get a question about records. An owner will want a copy of the minutes or the most recent financial statement. And so they'll call us and ask them, can they get this record? And they'll also call and say, I'm having a problem getting the record. What do I do if my request is denied?
So what is the best way, I guess, to reach your section for help? What's your preferred way? I mean, if to get
Well,
it.
yeah, I mean, really, I guess whatever's convenient for the person, but it would either be calling us, and our number is 808-586-2644. Or they can email us, and our email is HIREC, which stands for Hawaii Real Estate Commission,
Mhm.
at dcca.hawaii.gov.
And for our audience, you can all find this information, how to contact on their website.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so like for someone who wants help in a typical situation, what initial information or documents they need to provide to be eligible for the help?
Well, really, they just need to give us a little bit of background, a little bit of a description of their situation and
Mhm.
whatever their question is. We don't need any documents.
So, I mean, I know there are certain associations, of course they're registered, but there are also certain condominium associations, they may be exempted from the recordation or registration requirement. If it's also a small condominium project, but they're not registered, for them to reach out to our section, will they be able to get help?
Yes, I mean they can still call us and they can still get help. It doesn't matter that they are because they're exempt from being registered by the law. We still help them.
Thank you. So, what
Yes.
existing resources does the branch's condominium section provide to assist the associations, boards, and union owners?
Well, so I mean, in addition to, of course, answering questions and providing referrals, because a lot of times people don't know where to call, so we direct them. But we have a ton of resources to help boards and owners. And the best thing is they're all free. If you're like me, you like that word free.
Oh,
But
yeah.
our website, which is www.hawaii.gov/HIREC, it has a ton of information. I mean, we have over 40 brochures on a variety of topics. We
Mhm.
have everything from information for prospective buyers, if you're thinking about buying a condominium, to owners' rights and responsibilities. We have one on board members' rights and responsibilities. We have on budgeting, reserve funding, um, insurance, special assessments, mediation, legislative updates. We do one every year.
Mhm.
So tons of that, tons of brochures. We also have a video series. It's called Hawaii Condo Living Guide. And it's made up of 15 short videos. They're all less than 5 minutes, and they're on a variety of subjects as well. And you can watch them 24/7 on our website. We have an educational event we put on twice a year. It's free, and it's called Condorama.
Mhm.
And we have speakers, experts in their field. So it could be like an attorney or an insurance person or a parliamentarian, and they talk about, whatever their subject happens to be. Usually it's something current in the news. Like when they had the fire sprinklers, we had the fire chief come.
Mhm.
We do have a Condorama coming up on Saturday, April 29th. So it's in a couple of weeks if anyone's interested. It's going to be by webinar and it's from 9 to 11, and you can register on our website. You can also view past, we record all the speakers, so you can also view past Condorama speaker presentations on our website. We do a quarterly bulletin that
Mhm.
we publish, and you can see that and the past issues on the website. We do email them to people who've signed up for our condo information emails. So if you're interested in that, you can sign up, you can subscribe. We send out a quarterly informational email with all kinds of information. And we also write a monthly article for Building Management Hawaii magazine. We do educational fairs and we give presentations. We appear on Europe Show, Condo Insider, and we subsidize workshops and seminars and newsletters through CAI Hawaii.
Thank you. That's a lot of information.
Yeah, I know it
Right.
is, and people don't know about it. So thank you for letting me share.
Yeah, so I noticed that the website, your section's website, also publishes some non-binding interpretations and memorandums. I think, like me, condominium attorneys, sometimes when we assist a client, there's always going to be some issue that it's not very clear cut. It would be very helpful to get some guidance if this is one of those gray area issue from the section. So as to these non-binding interpretations and memos, can you tell us a little bit more about them and when and under what circumstances will the REC usually release such interpretation or memo to the public?
So the non-binding interpretations are an informal interpretation of the law. And the purpose is to provide an informal, speedy, and inexpensive resolution of inquiries where no formal ruling is desired.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're issued when someone requests one. If someone requests from the Real Estate Commission an informal interpretation of the law or the rules, that's when one would be generated. And these non-binding interpretations are recorded in the Real Estate Commission meeting minutes, and they are posted on our website. So that's how people can, view them or find out about them.
So typically, like for a case like that, from the request time period till when the interpretation's out, what would be the processing time frame?
That I don't know.
It appears, I've seen some from previous years only, not like so, not updated recently. Is it because nobody ever requested, or what's the status? It will be updated if someone did request, or how does can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Right. So because the interpretations are driven by, outside parties requesting this information or guidance or clarification, if nobody requests anything, then, we're not going to put anything out. So obviously some years would have more requests and some would have less. So that's why, that's why the numbers vary. And I'm not sure, did you ask me about updates?
Yeah, so
You
let's
did.
see
Okay.
if someone did send in, so it will, somebody on the website maintenance side will definitely post new ones there. It's not because it just stopped or there's lack of funding for that
Right,
work,
right. And I guess until the law changes or the commission receives another request to review a prior interpretation, the previous decisions would stand.
Ah, I see.
And yeah, we don't generally update them outside of a law change or a request to review a prior decision.
Okay, so that means whatever is posted on the website now, it should still be good with the current law, right? Because if the law changed, you guys would have updated already or take it off.
It should. I think the only caveat might be if there's something regarding 514A, because as you know, that chapter was repealed. I mean, it doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
So perhaps if there's something still lingering, then, that may not apply.
Got it. So I guess it's also a good opportunity for us to clear some common misconceptions. Can you give us some examples of situations where your section constantly receives such inquiries or requests, but it's actually, that won't be something that you guys would be able to help?
Well, I mean, I think common misconceptions are that the branch or the commission takes complaints. We don't. Also, we provide legal advice. We don't. Owners sometimes want, they tell us the board is not complying and with the law, and they want us to let the board know, and to make the board comply. We don't do that. We don't. We're not an advocate for the owner. We don't enforce, we don't go down and make someone do something. So I think the common misconception that we're going to directly intervene and force a board or owner to do something. We receive all kinds of inquiries. Usually, it's always a problem, right? People call us when there's a problem, not when things are good. So whether it's a problem with another owner or a board member, a board not allowing owners to participate in board meetings, or maybe the board or the managing agent is not responsive to an owner. We get leak and water damage complaints. We get a lot of association insurance and deductible complaints. We get complaints about the board not doing their fiduciary duty, or, there's alleged conflicts of interest, or the board's not treating owners fairly when they enforce the house rules. By statute, our role is education. That's what we're limited to. We're not here to provide legal advice. So I think sometimes people don't understand that, and they think we can do more than we can.
I see. So I guess for narrow issues like association documents request, there is an avenue through the RICO office, DCCA, right? The Regulated Industry Complaints Office.
Right.
That'll be another arm of the DCCA, though, not you guys.
Right. So, if there is someone that requested documents from their association and they didn't receive them, an owner, they can file a complaint with RICO, as you said. But, again, it's not the real estate branch that takes the complaint. It goes to the Regulated Industries Complaints Office. Yes.
I think we're going to cover the most interesting part. A lot of people are wondering about is the evaluative mediation program. And also there's also a voluntary binding arbitration program where through the Condominium Education Trust Fund, there are some state subsidies for these two programs. So if you can let us know, for each type, what kind of subsidy is available, how to get access to, that would be really helpful.
Sure. So for owners and boards, board members who are in associations that are registered with the branch or commission, there is a subsidy. This is for mediation. There's a subsidy up to $3,000, and that's after each party pays the initial fee to the mediator. And then as far as for the binding arbitration, voluntary binding. So again, it's for owners and board members of associations that are registered with the branch. And this subsidy is up to $6,000 after each party pays a fee of $175 to the arbitrator. The caveat here is the subsidy is only available after the parties have first attempted to resolve it through evaluative mediation. So they can't just go straight to voluntary binding. They have to go through the evaluative mediation first.
I see. And that is just per case, right? Like, let's see, unfortunately, let's see one association is hit with maybe a couple of these disputes. Is there any cap on a certain association, or no, that's really not how it works?
My understanding is that it doesn't matter. It's not like there is a cap per association. It's per, mediation or per voluntary arbitration.
I see. So based on the data from these two programs since establishment, how many cases utilized, this program in recent years, if you have the data available?
Yeah, well, for the mediation, evaluative mediation, so we have from 2018 to 2022, there were 202 evaluative mediations conducted.
Mhm.
So it started out like in 2018, they had 29, and then by 2022, it had increased to 53. So it looks like, it's kind of gained some momentum in the last couple of years.
Mhm.
And then with the voluntary binding, this is not utilized as much as mediation. We've only have a handful, and I don't have the exact number, but it's only a handful.
I see. How effective are these programs in resolving condominium disputes?
Well, I mean, the professional consensus is that being exposed to the process and having a neutral mediator or a neutral arbitrator, analyze your case and give the parties an objective look at the situation,
Mhm.
which they didn't have before, or they wouldn't have if they didn't go to mediation. That's beneficial. Um, we don't know how many of the cases, that don't reach agreement proceed, whether they then go to court or some other type of dispute resolution. But from what we understand, that most of the mediated cases don't end up in court. And that's a big win, just
That's great news.
keeping them out of court. And as far as it's pretty much similar with the voluntary binding
Mhm.
arbitration. I think that that's not as popular because, people have to go through the evaluative. And I sort of feel like, if you lost an evaluative or not lost, but, if you didn't prevail, you may not want to then go to voluntary binding. But still, it's available if you do want to go that route.
Right. Yeah. Just to clarify for our audience, because we just did a session last week regarding alternative dispute resolution covering mediation, arbitration. So typically in the evaluative mediation program, there's really no winning or losing. It's the two parties with the assistance of the neutral try to find a resolution which both sides can accept. So, if there's, meeting in the middle, there's compromises made by both sides, which they can lead with, then usually it is, a peaceful resolution through the mediation program. That could be a formal settlement agreement reached, or even if the subsidy exhausted, parties can decide to go into further mediation. Maybe that's why you don't have that additional data once they go to their own voluntary mediation process. If they get the case resolved, maybe that's why they don't need the voluntary binding arbitration. Or, people may still prefer court case. They don't want the one time binding, the risks there. A lot of time, I think it also goes with the insurance. Insurer would improve that. You need to put an insurer on notice. And, usually association would tender defense if they are on the defense side. And then a lot of the insurers wouldn't just go ahead approve the voluntary binding arbitration if, there's also court avenue available. This is something that they have to be, dance with shackles with insurance issues as well. Yeah. So I think we have a few minutes left. We want to cover actually two bills pending in the 2023 legislative session. One is a very interesting one pertaining to planned community associations. As we all know, currently the registrations with your agency is only for condominium associations, but HB 1509, actually the bill, if it becomes law, it would, establish an oversight task force, try to basically evaluate, determine the feasibility of extending this registration obligation and counterpart rights available to condominium associations now for planned community association members. And also, they want to conduct assessment of the current evaluative mediation and voluntary binding arbitration programs, how effective they are with the condominium task force. There's another bill, SB729. It would require auditors to conduct sunrise analysis on the proposed regulatory controls for members of the condominium association board of directors. Basically, will raise the bar if you want to serve on the condominium board. So they will require REC to develop a curriculum for sort of like an education. Before you can serve on a board, what kind of credits of the course you have to take so that association board members will know, get qualified before they can serve. So can you comment on the section's view about these pending two bills? And if these bills become law, how would that impact your section and the current staff workload?
Well, I mean, the commission and the branch, we already have an extensive collection of resources for the owners and the board members, on lots of topics, from financial to document requests to, as I mentioned, our video series. And I mean, it would increase the workload of our office if we do need to create a comprehensive curriculum. But, we have a substantial amount. We've already done a substantial amount of that work because we already have a lot of that information. It's there. And board members really can educate themselves now with all of the information we have. It's just that it's on their own time. It's not mandated, but the information's all there and it's all free and it's available. As far as a task force, that's going to definitely draw an amount of specialist time if we're going to have to conduct meetings. And also, I'm assuming if, the auditor does the sunrise review, that staff is going to need to assist. But I think that, we want to be, like I said, our whole mandate is education, and we want to be part of the solution. So, studying and discussing the issues with the condo community, I think that's pretty much crucial to ensure the success of any new rules or regulations. Sort of getting them involved,
Yeah, I think definitely on the other side of the spectrum, I've heard a lot of my colleagues, like condo attorneys, fellow condo attorneys, and board directors, some association clients, they often will see it's so hard to get unit owners who are willing to run for the board position because everybody knows it's a volunteer position, often thankless job, usually, only take a lot of time, but nobody really appreciates it. When things go wrong, you always get blamed, even get sued sometimes. So I'm not sure, like how this would play out, but, with the additional requirement of getting, continuing education for serving, whether it will make this problem even worse. But, just a thought there, my 2 cents.
I tend to agree with you. I tend to think that there's sort of some apathy in condo associations, and oftentimes it's hard to find people to run for the board. And I think having these additional requirements might make that worse.
Yeah, I like your, earlier statement about, we make these resources available so board directors can learn on their own pace, even if you just require someone take that course, pass it, it doesn't necessarily mean, really they get it, right? Because, we've all know how that works, even for similar thing for realtors, continuing education, not like after you took a course, then you will be perfectly doing your job, It's really depends on whether you are the responsible one. That's why I think the whole election system makes sense. If you're not doing a good job next year, you won't get reelected, right? So
I agree.
Thank you so much. I think our time is up. I really appreciate Lorie taking the time, spending with us, sharing all this useful information. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for your work as our state condominium education specialist.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for watching ThinkTech Hawaii. If you like what we do, please like us and click the subscribe button on YouTube and the follow button on Vimeo. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and donate to us at thinktechhawaii.com. Mahalo.